well, first let me apologize for this hat. Do I at least I was like, you know what, maybe I can pull off like a freelance journalist or something. Now, here I am on the Phish beat, Northerly Island, Chicago, 2013. Phish had a show canceled tonight. Canceled, maybe not the right word. Well, maybe perhaps canceled is the right word. You know, they were 2 songs deep into the second set. The storms come. Good night, Phish fans. You know, it'd have been a dream come true for me. I'm like, look, we got a solid set. We got a sick down with disease. Good night. All right. So I'd have probably been the only one felt that way. Where are we? We are here for StashPhan, huh? Is that true? StashPhan. There is no stash, but we did get a Suzy Greenberg to start things off. A song that, you know, obviously more often than not, we're going to get to at the tail end of a show. Not here, but this on this night. And then Wolfman's Brother. This was like maybe the beginning of a style of jamming. You got a lot in the first set. Wolfman's Brother, a song here in 2013, all the way to probably hit its peak in 2017 at the Baker's Dozen through 18 and 19. I don't know. And you still get a little bit of it today, but it's just where the song is just type 1. It gets into a jam and it just slowly builds. Sometimes it starts out with a medium tempo, sometimes a really slow tempo, but it is going to build and build and build, and then just completely pop off. The lights are going to go along with it well. And I love that style. That was just my first set favorites back then, like Theme from the Bottom, Wolfman's, Rogue, Undermined, some of the hot ones. 46 Days. 46 Days was another one. They pulled off in this 46 Days in like 6.5 minutes. And then being in Chicago, while there was no Jesus Left Chicago, a few songs that had a little bit of a bluesy feel to it. And just as they're pulling the plug in that second set, I didn't look at the set list from the previous nights, but it does feel like maybe perhaps a tweezer was coming after that Prince Caspian. So look, like I said, Suzy Greenberg and Wolfman's is how it started. The Wolfman's had a little bit of a flop there in the as they were building in that jam, but which did not happen a lot. Like I said, they didn't come to a head with this type of jamming probably, mostly just in the first set too. And then backwards down the number line follows the Wolfman's Brother. It's Ice. And then there was a part in It's Ice that reminded me of a song this MMA podcast I listened to. Like their outro song is a song I've just never really known, but I've probably heard 100 times at this point. And I swear I hear Paige kind of jamming on that right around like the 5 to 5.5 minute mark in the It's Ice. The song is called Boston Garden Rap. I don't know, the host of the podcast, just a couple of Boston guys, Anik and Florian. And, yeah, I don't know if that was, and look, it's a rap song, maybe Esoteric was the artist, and maybe it's a sample from another song. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it sounded similar. And then Mary said she heard it. She's heard the outro to Anik and Florian a lot as we're listening. And then the Moma Dance after that, another one, felt like there were several songs that felt like we could get a little more out of these into just a rip in my soul, a song, that we don't get a lot of. Back-to-back songs we don't get much of these days, My Soul and Sin of a Mule. Sin of a Mule, even with it, we don't get much of Fishman on the Lumina these days either. We got that. Then, like I said, that 46 Days, while it was short, this was one of the highlights of the set. And then the Limb by Limb almost felt like a taste, really, which makes sense coming from a similar time in their career, off even, so it's not surprising that you hear a little bit of a taste jam in this Limb by Limb. And then really all of them. Mike at one point is like, ooh, listen to that bass, And then we're talking 2013 here on the app, the Live Phish. Not exactly a 90s mix, but Mike sounded nice. And then you're like, oh, you're reminded that it is indeed basically a Fishman song. For a minute or so there, toward the end of the jam, they're all just smoothing it together. And then they... not that they needed it, but a rocking out Julius to end set 1. And then the Down with Disease, while only clocking in around 11 minutes, I feel like they had a strong tweezer in them, perhaps. Like I said, I don't know, I feel a little silly if they're like, nah, dude, they just played that the night before. Did they play anywhere the night before? This is the beginning of a 3-night run, I believe, here in Chicago. 3 sets the following night, because right after Down with Disease and Prince Caspian, and the Down with Disease, not like we got in the first, similar, but not exactly like the style of, and they hadn't quite, even in 13 had its moments for sure, but they hadn't quite, like a few weeks after this, there was a tweezer, in fact. And, but this one didn't quite, it started to, I don't know if ripcord's quite the right word, but it didn't quite get going. It did, but, it had a lot more room and could have spent a lot more time with Down with Disease, I felt. But maybe they knew the weather was coming. And that about does it. So, for me, the Wolfman's Brother was nice. Moma Dance, Sin of a Mule, 46 Days, Limb by Limb, Disease. Not bad for a interfered with by the weather show. All right, guys, I'm distracted by this own ridiculous hat. Not a big Twins fan, I'll say. You know, you might be like, well, what's up with that Twins hat that looks like you've worn for 14 years? I don't know. Sat in the back of my car one time for probably 6 years. Boom, getting faded by the sun. All right, we are out of here. Thanks to StashPhan. I just feel like I wrote that down wrong. Channel member StashPhan. No stash. All right, man. Boom, good request. Had to get out of the 95 and the 90. Had to get out of the 90s, really, altogether. We got some 97s coming up. July 22nd, in fact, July 31st. And then we move on to 98, 99, 2010, 11, 12. Boom, we're out of here. Oh, that was a bunch, man. That was what is this, Mike Tyson's Punch Out? Get well, Mike. Rooting for you, pal. Mike's my pal, you know. I'm around that age. Doesn't every guy around my age, our age, your age? You probably thought Mike Tyson was the man, right? Then there was that conviction. That was dicey, though. Come on. I still don't know for sure. I know he was convicted, went to prison. Not 100% sure he was guilty. Yeah, he probably was. All right. You got me. Boom. Doesn't mean I'm not a fan. It's conflicting, you know? How do you separate the art from the artist? In this case, he's an athlete, but tell me that guy wasn't an artist. Nobody painted an uppercut. All right, we're out of here. Boom. Love you.